Welcome to story time. With out-of-the-box education. Juneteenth, Our Day of Freedom by Sharon Wyeth, illustrated by Kim Holt. Juneteenth is a glorious holiday. It is also called Freedom Day. On that day, we celebrate the end of slavery in America. Juneteenth got its name from June 19th. On that date, in 1865, Major General Gordon Granger entered the city of Galveston, Texas. About 2,000 Union soldiers were with him. Some of the soldiers belonged to the United States Colored Troops, also known as the USCT. The USCT soldiers were free African Americans. Some had made dangerous escapes from where they had been enslaved. They had joined the Union Army to fight for the freedom of their own people. From April 1861 to April 1865, America had been at war over slavery. It was called the Civil War. 11 states that allowed slavery had rebelled and left the Union. Texas was one of them, but the rebel states had lost. Even before the war ended, President Lincoln had signed the order called the Emancipation Proclamation. On January 1st, 1863, he declared that all enslaved people in the rebel states were to be freed. Yet, 2 years later, in 1865, thousands of African Americans in Texas still hadn't been told they were free. Enslaved people did back-breaking work for no pay. Slaveholders had selfishly kept the good news of freedom a secret. They did not want to lose their unpaid workers. But now, General Granger had come to read Order Number 3 to proclaim freedom. The soldiers would make sure the order was obeyed. Granger's voice rang out, "All slaves are free." The crowd grew excited. Enslaved people shouted with joy. When they discovered that they could have been freed 2 years earlier, many were stunned and angry too. Some enslaved people had tried to run away in the past, but if caught, they were harshly punished. As the good news spread, enslaved laborers walked out of the fields. They could no longer be forced to plant and harvest crops for no pay. Enslaved servants left the large houses where slaveholders had forced them to cook, wash clothes, and take care of farm animals. Now at last they were free. Imagine how thankful they felt. They knelt in prayer. Imagine their gladness and celebrations. Neighbors hugged and shared the good things they had. There might have been sweet strawberry drinks, cornbread and apple butter, or a pot of delicious stew. Thousands left their tiny slave cabins behind. Freedom meant they could set out to make new lives. They had very few belongings, but they had powerful dreams. Dreams they could share as they walked. Dreams they could share around campfires of Union soldiers who took them in. The newly freed people wanted their own land. They dreamed of building houses and starting farms. Slaveholders had tried to prevent enslaved people from learning to read and write. Now, newly freed people had a chance to learn. They were eager for an education. Most of all, they wanted to work for wages. They took their skills with them wherever they went. Field hands and cowhands, carpenters and blacksmiths, seamstresses and cooks could now be paid for their labors. Not all freed people in Texas left the state. Some became tenant farmers. and servants for former slaveholders. This was a hard life too. The wages were low, but people were paid. Freed people often gave themselves new names for their new lives. Names of lost loved ones or the place where they were born, names from the Bible or a poem, African names passed down in secret. People named themselves for the things they believed in, truth and freedom. John Freeman. Freedom made them hopeful, but they would not easily forget the cruelty of slavery. Many families had been separated and never saw one another again. June 19th became a day of remembrance in Texas. It is a day when the descendants of enslaved African Americans think about their ancestors, and, like those who came before them, they celebrate freedom. In 1980, Texas made Juneteenth a state holiday. Juneteenth became celebrated in nearly every other state and the District of Columbia. In 2021, Juneteenth was made a federal holiday. People lined the streets at Juneteenth parades to see brightly decorated floats and marching bands. In Longview, Texas, there's a Juneteenth rodeo. On Juneteenth, we play baseball. We have Juneteenth block parties. Everyone on the street is invited. We bring homemade salads and desserts to backyard barbecues. We enjoy red foods, watermelon, red velvet cake, and strawberry soda, a traditional Juneteenth drink. Our elders tell the stories of our ancestors' lives. We pass around family photos and draw family trees. We listen to the Emancipation Proclamation. We honor the leaders of the past and discuss ways to keep working for equality. We sing the Black National Anthem, lift every voice and sing. We write essays about what freedom means to us. America was founded on the promise of freedom in the Declaration of Independence signed in 1776. With the end of slavery in 1865, the country got one step closer to keeping that promise. Juneteenth is a celebration of freedom for all. The long-denied freedom of 250,000 enslaved people in Texas has become a powerful symbol, but slavery was not abolished in the entire country until the 13th Amendment was ratified on December 6, 1865. Through political activism and participation in the democratic process, our country continues to strive to meet the high ideas of its Declaration of Independence and Constitution. And that's Juneteenth, our day of freedom. I hope you have enjoyed story time with Out of the Box Education. Don't forget to like and subscribe.